clip you just saw is a two-man kata called Thunder Meets Earth. And the objective today is to teach you the fundamental building blocks of that kata so that you can take those building blocks and recreate the kata for yourself, ultimately doing your own presentation. Before we start today, I want to make sure you're aware of two things. Doing harness, especially with a partner in a rapidly moving situation, can be dangerous. So you want to make sure when you're practicing on your own to prevent eye injury that you use a pair of safety goggles or safety glasses. Now what we use in our class is a basic set of construction safety glasses which you can pick up at any hardware store for about $3, and we have found that they are effective in preventing eye injuries. Of course, the more money you invest in safety, the higher degree of safety you'll have. So if you want to buy the best, make the investment, that's fine. But if you don't have the money, these will work almost as well. Secondly, the entire kata and all of the harness weapons that you see in this kata will be with a 28-inch stick. We use the 28-inch stick exclusively, and if you're interested in working on harness, you'll find that there are various sizes of sticks available in the marketplace, some of them being 24 inches, 25, or 27. But for safety purposes in a class and also for maximum utility in a fighting situation, we have long since settled on the 28-inch as being the preferred length for our own pursuit. Okay, Thunder Meets Earth. Now you've seen the kata presented as an exhibit for you just a few minutes ago. Before we start the instructional segments, I want you to keep in mind that the kata is composed of several building blocks, and each building block can be learned separately and perfected separately. So when you go back to the kata and recall what you just saw, and you might want to make a note of this on paper before we go forward, the kata is broken off into counts or beats. It's almost like a musical score, and the first set of counts is an 8-beat movement. Then there's the second set of counts, which is 8 beats. Then there's 6 beats. Then there's 6 beats. Then there's 8, and then there's 8, and so forth. Now we're going to explain this in detail as we move forward in the kata, but we want you to be aware of that from the very onset so that as you're practicing and learning this kata, you will have this counter working in your mind at all times, so that you are moving effectively and cleanly and you are moving in sequence with your partner. Again, it's just like a musical score if you're a musician, just like playing music. And then as time goes by, when you perfect the kata and you do it at a high rate of speed, you can switch partners, you can play either role of the kata, it will just become completely automatic. But in the beginning, the fastest way to learn it is to remember at all times that there is a sequence of beats that you have to apply and keep in your mind until you perfect the movements and until they become instinctive. Now, lastly, when you do the kata, and you'll need to make a note of this also at this beginning stage, there are 2 roles, and this is sort of like street theater. You're going out there and you're performing and you're trying to tell a story, but the 2 actors have names, symbolic names in the kata. One actor's name is Tore, T-O-R-E, and the other actor's name is Uke, U-K-E. Now that comes from the Japanese. Those are terms that are used to identify which person plays the role of the attacker and which person plays the role of the defender, the one reacting to the attack. It really has no other significance than that. It just tells you who initiates the action and who's responding to the action. So when you see the kata unfold, you'll see that the very first thing the participants do is to identify who Tore is and then who Uke is, because the movements are slightly different. Tore is the initiator of action, Uke is the one who responds to the action. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead to the first learning block of this kata. Before us at this time is Sensei Ralph Howard. Sensei, if you'll turn to the camera. Right? And Sensei Chris Antis. Chris? And what they were executing just a few seconds ago was the single sinawali pattern, which is the initiation or the beginning of the kata, except that they were doing it at its most elementary level, empty hand with no sticks. Now if you've done this pattern before, you can move ahead on the tape because you may already know this, and that's fine. But if you've never done this before, we're going to have to explore this at a basic level so that you can do it at home before you move forward with your stick. So here's the pattern. It's up and down, up and down. So for example, Sensei Ralph Howard is Tore and Sensei Chris Entis is Uke. That means that Sensei Ralph Howard executes the first move with his right hand. He strikes upward, and notice how Chris Entis mirrors him throughout. Next strike, next strike, next strike, Yame. Okay, now it's a 4-strike cycle. It's 2 strikes from each side, but in the kata, it's done as an 8-beat sequence. So going back to Sensei Ralph initiating, I'm going to count a full 8-beat sequence. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yame. Now what you should do is just turn your video on pause for a few seconds and see if you can recollect what just occurred on your own or with a partner. And after you have a chance to do that for a few seconds, return to the tape. Okay, I'm assuming that you've got it down at least up to the 8-beat pattern. We're going to extend the 8-beat pattern to a full 2 8-beat patterns, which is the first cycle of the kata. Gentlemen, I'll count. Sensei Ralph Howard is Tore. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yame. Now on your own, when you're practicing this, what you need to do is master this pattern. And the way to master the pattern is simply to play it out. And if you have a partner that you're learning this kata with, all the better. If you don't, you're going to have to find a partner, because essentially this is a 2-man set, and it just won't be any fun doing it by yourself. But as an example to you and how you can perfect this pattern, we'll let these 2 gentlemen just begin once again by demonstrating what they were doing at the beginning of this segment, a fluid drill. Gentlemen, on your own. Now notice how they move about, always being sure to respond accurately to the strike. You can vary your height, you can vary your distance, you can vary which leg is forward, you can turn to the side, you can rotate clockwise or counterclockwise. You should be able to do all of these and feel comfortable with the drill. Gentlemen, Yame. Now you'll note these are the weapons that we use for practice all the time. And none of the weapons we have today are going to look new. In fact, I don't think any of my weapons look very new after the 2nd or 3rd day, because when you work on these hard, you'll wear out your weapon pretty quickly. So just a note of maintenance. We use electrician's tape primarily for repairs on the spot. And if you carry your electrician's tape around whenever you see a flaw or a defect or a little nick in the surface of the stick, and you protect it immediately, you'll get years of service out of just about any rattan stick that you use. Second point is, throughout the course of this kata, we use rattan sticks exclusively. We would caution that if you used an oak stick or a broomstick or something along those lines, or a pine stick or a hickory stick, that it would crack and potentially cause injury to yourself. So you have to be very careful about that. Okay, we were working on the basic hand pattern in the previous educational block. Now we're going to take what we learned from that block into the next stage, which is the sinawali form. The sinawali means to weave, and you'll see how this begins to look like a weaving pattern in just 1 second. First thing, safety glasses. Assisting me, Chris Entis. And we're going to do the sinawali pattern with 1 stick, and then after we demonstrate it with 1 stick, we'll break momentarily, get our second stick, and show how it works and integrates directly into the kata itself. But remember a few seconds ago when you were doing the up and down pattern. Okay? Now, I'm Tori, he's Uke, up and down pattern. Up, down, 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 up, down. Now, mate, this is actually the same pattern that you were doing in the previous tape, except you're doing it with only one hand, so that you master the integration or the crossover from empty hand to the stick. But watch what we're going to do next. We're going to take this simple single stick, single hand sinali pattern, and we're going to add some twists and nuances to it so that it becomes an actual fighting drill. We'll each switch hands at will. We'll alternate hands and positions, and just watch how the stick moves from hand to hand with confidence and comfort. And that's what you'll want to do with your partner when you put the tape on pause in just a few minutes. Ready? Okay. We won't count, we'll just move casual. Okay, see how the pattern works. Now, the objective is not to be perfect, but it's to strive for perfection. You want to have accuracy. You want to get clean. Target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4. You want to be able to switch hands. He's with his right hand. I switch to left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you need to be able to switch back. Look how the switch takes place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. Yummy. If you practice this enough, you'll be able to execute the switch on any beat of the stick. Okay, now just take a few minutes, go off on your own, practice. Then return to the tape for the next segment. Okay, the next segment will feature the sinali pattern being executed with the 28-inch sticks, but with 2 sticks. This is your next stage in growth as you prepare to learn the rest of this kata. Gentlemen, if you'll put your safety gear on. In every class there's a trendsetter, and you can tell who the trendsetter is in our class. Ready? Take your positions. Sensei Ralph is Tori, Sensei Chris is Uke, and I will count the pattern. I will count it in groups of 8. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yame. Now, as you practice this on your own, which you should do at this point, just pause your VCR, go off for a few minutes and make sure you're comfortable with this pattern, then return. Okay, assuming you've had a chance to work on it briefly, the next stage is taking the very same pattern and making it spontaneous, working your own movement into it. So we'll let these gentlemen demonstrate where you're headed for next. Gentlemen, ready? Are you ready? Okay, the next learning block will be the second pattern of movement in the kata. Now we're going to go into a much more complex pattern, which is double sinawali. And just so you don't feel intimidated by this, as we begin the learning segment, I want for you to understand that this was hard for all of us initially, and that it will be hard for you if you haven't done this before to track this movement for the first 30 or 40 seconds that you see it on the tape. But what you're going to have to do is just go back and play it over and over again and try to copy what we're doing as we're doing it. You have to trust that your body will learn this, even though it's confusing to your mind. Okay, so we're going to go slow, and we're going to model this for you. Modeling means that we act it out and you copy exactly what we're doing. So for example, Chris is here and I'm standing here. Now, if there's two of you, one of you should be Chris and one of you should be myself, Bill McCabe. If there's just one of you, then you should pick whatever role you want to play, then position yourself as you look at the tape, and then copy that person's movement. Okay, if you're all set. Here. 6 count pattern. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I hear you saying, can you guys slow up? If you aren't, you should, okay? So we'll slow up once again and start over modeling as we begin our count from the beginning. Hands up, copy us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yummy. Okay, you say you're starting to get it? If you're sure that you are, we'll add a little twist for you to make it interesting. Remember what we did before with the single sinawali with 2 hands? 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go from one pattern to the next, switching. See if you can keep up. See if we can keep up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yummy. Okay? Work on that on your own. How long does it take to feel comfortable with this? About a week. In fact, you should take the tape, stick it on the shelf for a week, come back next week after you've perfected this, and be prepared to move forward. In this learning segment, we're going to work on double sinawali using the actual weapons. Gentlemen, if you'll take your positions. Now in the previous section of the tape, you were working this with empty hands. This section, you're working it with your 2 sticks, your 2 weapons. It'll be the same pattern to my count. Ready, gentlemen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, on your own, just keep the movement going and just do your flow. And for you, the students at home, this will be your next stage in mastering this particular technique before moving forward in the kata. As you acquire familiarity with the moves, you can work to increase your speed. Yame. After you feel comfortable with the double sinawali with 2 sticks, just like before, when you were working empty-handed, you go back to the knowledge that you already have, and then you integrate it into the knowledge that you're trying to acquire. So you already know single sinawali with 2 sticks, and you've been introduced to double sinawali with 2 sticks. Now we're going to take a look at both patterns combined. Okay, so gentlemen, I will count. We'll do 8-beat pattern, 8-beat pattern, 6-beat pattern, 6-beat pattern, 8-beat pattern, 7-beat pattern. You understand what I'm talking about? Okay? It'll be a full basic cycle. And this is actually the first third of the kata. So you're actually moving quite aggressively forward in your path for knowledge. Gentlemen, take your positions. Now before we start, I'm just going to let you know that the 8-beat patterns and 6-beat patterns that we're talking about, that's something you have to remember. Because when you do double sinawali, if you do a full cycle, it will be 8 beats. So basically we're doing 2 full cycles. That's why I described it as 2 8-beat patterns. And then we go into 2 full cycles of the double sinawali. Excuse me if I refer to the previous section as double sinawali. It would be single sinawali. But the middle section of this would be 2 6-beat patterns of double sinawali, since the 6-beat pattern represents double sinawali. And then we close with return to the 8-beat patterns of single sinawali. Gentlemen, hajime. 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that last beat, they left off the 8 beats so that they could disengage and break to the starting positions. Gentlemen, take your starting positions again, please. At your own pace. Preparing to work the middle section of the kata. That's that complicated 5-beat pattern that you might recall having seen when the kata was performed. We actually call this the 5-beat pattern, but we also refer to it as the flow drill, then as the flow drill with 1 stick, and then as the flow drill with 2 sticks. So when you learn this, you'll have to learn this in 3 stages to get to the point where you're able to execute it in the kata with confidence. The first stage is empty hand. Now remember, before we start demonstrating this with empty hand, that the flow drill is a 5-beat pattern. So there's 5 movements before it repeats. Okay, so I'm going to ask Sensei Chris to assist me at this point. Over here, sir. And we're positioned on each other, practicing empty hand. This is actually a very nice sticky hands kind of movement, because it develops great hand positioning and reaction, and after you master it and have a chance to practice it, it's a great synthesized fight. Okay, he comes with the first move. 1, okay, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, he hits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to give you different perspectives of this. We'll begin circling around so you can see it from different perspectives. Sensei Chris starts a pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you step back, sir? What you need to do now is turn off your tape or put it on pause just for a few minutes and see if you can recreate this from memory with your partner. Okay, assuming you've had a chance to do that, we'll recommence to the next step of the lesson. We want to make sure you're clear on what the strikes are. So for example, if I'm the starting attacker, if I'm Torei, and Sensei Chris is the defender, Uke, my first attack is a Shuto straight over the top. 1. He blocks with the sunrise block, it comes in from the side, Shuto to my neck, and I meet him halfway and stop him. Okay, I cut through, go for the short rib as he does the double down block. Comes in with the spear hand, to my solar plexus, I block and then I back fist. Okay, that's what the moves are. Okay, he comes over the top. 1. Straight down attack. I go for the neck. 2. He goes for the short rib. 3. I go for the heart. 4. He back fist. 5. Okay? We disengage. I go for the top, the head. He goes for the neck. I go for the short rib. He goes for the heart. I go for the head with the back fist attack. Okay, he goes for the head. I go for the neck. He goes for the short rib. I go for the heart. And he back fist. Okay, executing this sequence just in a casual movement kind of orientation, developing the skills a little bit. You can do it with us. As we're doing this on the video, you and your partner can work it in the background. Use us for reference. Ready? Victoria, 1. Right? Good. Now, after you acquire some confidence with that, you go to step 2 of learning the sequence of the flow drill, which is the flow drill with a single weapon in hand. And we'll start that segment in just a few seconds. Okay, you were just observing Sensei Ralph and Sensei Chris executing the flow drill with a single stick at moderate speed. Now, what they were doing was exactly the same hand sequence that you were practicing just a moment ago, but with the Arnis stick in hand. Now, that adds a whole new dimension to the flow drill, but it also makes it a lot more fun to do because there's a beat to it and you can really see how it works to adequately defend you when you're dealing with a complex movement situation. So let's just let them continue in slow motion with the moves of the flow drill, Sensei Ralph being Tori executing first. And just observe how this relates to what you were working on just a few minutes ago. when they begin the next cycle, I will institute my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Won't you go ahead and join in at home? Just as they continue the motion, go ahead and pick up your sticks, get your partner off the seat, and see if you guys can use these two as models as you follow along. If it helps, I'll count out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gentlemen, young mate. Now we're going to have Sensei Ralph just relate for you, the viewer, what the 5 strikes are, so that you can attach this to what you were working on empty-handed just a segment previously. Sensei Ralph, if you do the number 1 strike, down to the head. Sensei Chris, his block is across or up. He does a rainbow block. Now he has to respond with his number 1, which is to the side of Sensei Ralph's head. That's actually the second beat in the pattern. Sensei Ralph meets it, mirroring the attack, and then he executes with a third technique, which is to the short ribs. Sensei Chris executes the 4th beat, which is a poke to the chest or solar plexus. Sensei Ralph blocks, executes the 5th beat, which is a strike to the side of the head, with Sensei Chris doing a number 4 block. Now, as Sensei Chris comes out of the number 4 block, he begins with a number 1 strike from his side of the pattern. Okay, Sensei Ralph does the number 2 strike. Number 3 strike is Sensei Chris to the short ribs. Number 4 is now Sensei Ralph to the solar plexus. And number 5 is Sensei Chris to the side of the head. And then the pattern continues from there. Go ahead, gentlemen, just pick it up. Now observe as they can work from this pattern into a free-form, more aggressive pattern. Of course, you can see why safety glances are requisite in virtually everything that we do with our niece. Okay, gentlemen, young mate. Now we're going to pick up, work on the flow drill with 2 sticks. I have to tell you right up front that I want you to be this character, because I know you can do this. Wherever we've taught this kata to, with a little bit of practice and diligence and commitment, they've been able to learn it. So no matter how hard this seems for you, or how challenging, stay with it. If you don't get it all today, just try to get a few seconds of it down, or a few beats of the pattern down. Then come back and revisit the tape tomorrow. Okay, if something's progressing slowly, put the tape away for a week and work on what you've learned over and over until you've mastered it, then move forward. This is a real kata. This is the kind of kata that you can take to a tournament and win 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place if you execute it proficiently. Okay, it looks good. And it's a powerful kata, and if you master all the elements of this kata, you'll go a long way forward in the art of our niece. Now, with respect to 2 sticks in the flow drill, the first thing I want you to do is try to recall how you moved the stick and how you moved the body when you were using only a single weapon. Because I want you to basically do it the same way with 2 sticks. For the most part, having the 2nd stick, not doing a lot of work initially, just sort of being there. And then as you get comfortable with the 2-stick movement, then you'll begin to integrate the 2nd stick into everything that you're doing. So for example, with Sensei Chris assisting. Okay, he attacks with the first beat. Okay, now I block with an umbrella block because that's a smooth block. With 2 sticks, it's easy to do. Okay? Now you might remember with 1 stick, we blocked with a sunrise block, which you can still do with 2 sticks, but it's quicker just to do it with the umbrella block, 2 sticks as such, and then you're prepared to cut across with the next move. You see what Chris is doing here is exactly the same thing that he was doing before. Okay, he cuts from my short rib. I'm doing the same thing I was doing before. I do the next beat. He's doing, meet it with the right stick, just like he was doing before. The same thing he was doing with only a single stick in his hand, and then he goes for the side of my head, and I do the same thing that I was doing as though I had only 1 stick in hand. Now we reverse, and I'm doing the number 1. Okay? Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. See, it's not that hard to transition. You just remember what you were doing when you had 1 stick and do the same thing. Over the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yummy. Now, you work on that until you're comfortable with it. And then when you're comfortable with that part of the sequence, then you say to yourself, okay, now I'm going to integrate the second stick into what I do. But you see, the second stick, it's just like a drummer hitting a snare drum off to the side. You just do it when you feel you want to do it. When you see a place where you can use it, you stick it in. Because I'm not going to have you copy me exactly. I want this kata to be your kata. And this is a place where you can make it uniquely your own. So back to the drill. Sensei Chris is Torre. He executes with number 1. My first block. My counter, he comes underneath. Now look, instead of blocking with my right hand, I've switched. Okay, I come underneath. He executes next attack. Hit. On the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. See the change. 5. See the change. Over the top. Now we'll just move free form. Look how different we can make it. You can completely improvise at this point. In effect, you are using the full 2 sticks with improvisation. You won't get it perfect every time at first, just like we're having to focus on what we're doing. You'll have to focus yourself. But this is how you develop the ability and the skills to execute the kata competently. At this point in your training, you've got all the building blocks for the entire kata lined up and ready to employ to execute the kata. So take this, practice it for about a week or so until you're absolutely confident in it, then return to the tape for the kata itself. You've covered a lot of ground in the past couple weeks. Now it's payday. We're going to put everything together into the kata. Remember the kata? Thunder meets earth. That's the name. A little bit of history here. The kata is an iron crane gun-fu kata. It comes from our style, which is gun-fu, and it comes from our school in Tacoma, Washington, which is the Iron Crane School. We want you, as a courtesy to us, if you do learn this kata, to respect its heritage, to let people know where it came from originally. You know, we'd be very disappointed if we found out that someone else was doing this kata and indicating to people that they had created it. We're happy to share this with you, and we encourage you to add your own little special touches to the kata. Nothing would honor us more than to go to a tournament and to see somebody doing a kata that used this as its structure or as its foundation and won or placed in the tournament. We'd be proud that you had done that. So keep that in mind. We all like to be recognized for what we do, and it also encourages us to produce more instructional videos in the future. Now, with respect to this kata and integrating it into a final form, Recall each of the building blocks. The first building block was a single sinawali with 2 sticks. The second building block was a double sinawali, the 6-beat pattern. Next came the flow drill. Okay? That's essentially all the building blocks of the kata. But you have to string it together in such a way that it tells a story that you can present it to an audience or to the public so that it looks like what it's supposed to be, a genuine fight, that you're fighting for your life against a skilled opponent, and that it's interesting to perceive and behold. And in effect, when we talk about the building blocks, we might say there's only 4 or 5 building blocks to the kata, but it's how you execute them that makes it spectacular. And these building blocks, each on their own, requires time, diligence, and commitment on your part to master. So let's construct the kata right now. We'll go through it in slow form. The bow, whatever your school's bow is fine by us. We have our bow. Great. Then we go immediately to a fighting position. Now all of our stick kata are fluid kata. You can move. You don't have to start from a stationary position. You can move, and if you feel that it adds to your presentation, then you should move. Or if you feel being still adds to your presentation, then you should be still. Or if one person wants to move, the other person's still, that's fine too. Remember, we want you to personalize this kata to suit your skill and your presentation. Now remember what we said before, that one of us has to be tori and one of us has to be uke. Whoever tori is the person who initiates the attack. So for example, if Sensei Ralph is tori, and he comes forward, first strike. If I'm tori, see we're moving, he knows I'm tori, so he knows I'm going to do the first strike no matter what, because I have to initiate the kata. I'm tori. So we can move around all day long. The audience doesn't have to know what the deal is. And we can do some fancy stuff, but he knows that I have to do the strike. So remember, one person is tori, one person is uke. Always, otherwise you'll have an accident. Also remember, safety goggles. Now, the first part of the kata. Single sinawali with 2 sticks, going to do 2 cycles of 8 beats. After that, you're going to do 2 cycles of the 6-beat double sinawali, and then you're going to return to 2 cycles of single sinawali with 2 sticks, which is 8 beats in each cycle. So you will have 8 beats, 8 beats, 6 beats, 6 beats, 8 beats, and 8 beats, except the very last 8 beats will be cut by 1 so that you can break away. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Okay, we're going to do this slow for you. Count with us. We'll count out all the beats so you know exactly what we're talking about. Okay, Sensei Ralph will be tori for purposes of starting the presentation. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now transitioning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Transitioning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now instead of an 8th beat here, you've got to disengage so that you can go to the middle section of the kata. So you do a little spin out, which is called redondo, and then you break out. That's the first portion of the kata. You go from there to the middle section, which is the flow drill with 2 sticks. Now we're going to go back up to that part of the kata in just a second. But what will happen is, he's tori. So he will have to initiate the flow drill middle section, because tori always initiates. Okay, so we're going to, just as a demonstration, doing the middle section, the flow drill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how that works? Now we're going to go back to the beginning of the kata and end at the conclusion of the flow drill. Ready? Sensei Rapastore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and break out. Tori, he has to initiate the first move for the middle section, the flow section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, watch what happens here. We're going to go to the last section of the kata, which repeats the whole first section of the kata. But before we start, he adds one strike in here, which is a transition strike, and he adds it in right here. Okay? There's no beat for that. Then we go back to the single sinali with 2 sticks, and we end it with the same sequence that we started it with. Observe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's no 8th beat there. And you end in your fighting position. Final move is bowing to your partner. That's the kata. Thunder meets earth. You should mark this section on your tape. Go back and play the beginning again so that you understand the sequence and the count of the pattern. When you practice with your partner, one of the partners should count for both at all times until you're completely comfortable with it. In fact, in our group, any of the students who know the kata can interchange with any of the other students. As time goes by, you become so fluid at the kata that it just becomes part of your natural movement, and in fact, there's no longer any count. Okay, we want to thank you for joining us this past several weeks. We want you to know that we're proud of you, and we know that you can do this. Okay, so don't be frustrated and don't think that it's something you can't accomplish, because we know that you can do this. Every one of us has started out just like you have, and if you have the same diligence and discipline and commitment that we've had to move forward and to make yourself a better person and a better martial artist, this kata will one day be yours. Okay, once again, Sensei Bill McCabe thanking you for working with us this past several weeks. If I ever get a chance to meet you, please feel free to drop up to me and say hello. Thank you.